did a human design chart reading with my astrology, with my gene keys, coagulated all together, and it was amazing. I cannot hype this up more. I'm obsessed. The divine timing. I had gone to an event. I'm a member of Soho House, and they had someone come in and give a brief overview. We had a one-on-one right before, and she had said something to me that I immediately replied to her with, that was life-changing, because she said to me, based on your chart, I'm gonna guess that you're a people pleaser. Yes. She followed it up by saying, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but basically was insinuating like you do a lot for relationships, love, and friendships. People just take. It's in your chart to be a giver and to give and provide that. You're taking advantage of a lot and you just can't seem to find the right partner. And it's probably because you're over giving. And she looked at me, she goes, fill your own cup first and give people your leftovers. I have never felt so released from the pressure of a narcissistic wound than I did in that moment. Because when you are a narcissistic snack as a child, and this gentleman, Eric, ding, 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 hit it. He's like, Lisa, you were brainwashed. You were legit brainwashed. It almost has like a cultish vibe of how manipulated your programming was manipulated by a parental figure, dad, to believe certain things, perform certain ways, and to have massive limiting beliefs. And I've shared in a previous video, and I'm gonna reiterate it here. I used to work for my dad. When I was 14, I was having a lot of fights with my youngest brother. My stepdad was getting more and more aggressive with me. I was drinking more and more, and I was feeling really unsafe. I just packed a bag one day and said, I literally looked at my mom and said, I deserve better. At 14 years old. And I walked out of that household. Went to a friend's, they called my dad. I didn't necessarily feel like dad was gonna be, 100% better. I knew that situation was not sustainable. And so I moved in with my dad. He had a company. He said, look, I understand you wanna live with me, but I'm not financially supporting you. You have to work for everything that you want. If you wanna go to the movies, you have to earn it. If you want clothes, you have to earn it. I'm talking like if I wanted new sheets for my bed, the man was gonna make me earn it, which taught me a lot about business and helped me build my empire, right? So that groundwork, that foundation, that brainwashing did provide value, and that's why it is so important to remember where you come from and to not be ashamed and to work through the traumas and the pains and reflect on them, because they help you evolve into that next level version of yourself. There was a time in the relationship where my dad was getting worse and worse and more malicious, more derogatory. By 17, I was VP and I was running the company. I graduated high school early so that I could run his company, so that he could fly around in his airplane and like go buy properties in Costa Rica, which I never got to see. And I remember towards the end of the relationship, because what I understood at 14 when I started working for my dad is if I were to ever, and I knew this since the age of 14 years old as a young girl, intuitively, I knew the day I leave working here is the day I will lose this relationship. If I'm not being owned, manipulated, and controlled by my father, there will be no relationship. And so after 10 years, I was really getting tired of it. And he would only pay me $28,000 a year. He told me that was for my best interest, because when you make $36,000 a year, you're in a different tax bracket. So he was doing me a favor. He was saving me money. Literally what he said to his only child. So you understand where Lisa Framework started, right? You have to understand where I started to where I'm at. I remember saying, I think I want to get a different job, to someone in the office who I think obviously told him. And I remember him calling me into his office and very sheepishly, very devilish grin. So I hear you're gonna go for a job interview. And I was like, well, yeah, I just kind of like want to see what else is out there. And I'm so uncomfortable and nervous and like, what's the word? Cornered and unprepared for how I want to explain to this, my only parental relationship that I have with someone who's not treating me nicely. And I know when I leave won't want a relationship with me. And I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this. And he chuckles and he goes, and no one's ever going to pay you more than $40,000 a year. Now, mind you, I had just graduated with a degree. And this mother is telling me no one will ever, excuse me, he's not telling me, he's brainwashing me. He knows how to get in. He knows how to make his words have value, because you have to remember, this is my dad. I'm a very loyal person. If you do something for me, I feel very connected to helping provide back because I'm a provider. He made me, in that moment, give up. And I didn't interview for another job for several years. It's just heartbreaking to think about that. Definitely cult-like, manipulative, dark, toxic, brainwashing energy. Unfortunately, it was a parental unit. I want you to reflect onto yourself. The things that your parents said, friendships of your youth, really put limitations on you. It could be a very minuscule sentence that you remember someone saying, or doing really well at something and not getting a hug or a high five. I know it's so scary that just something so minute as that could change the trajectory of your relationships in the future, but it's what happens. Please work through these pieces of you. Please reflect on your life and move through that stuff, whether it's breath work, meditation, if you want to do a shaman, medicinal journey, whatever that looks like or feels like for you, please do it. Please. Brainwashing is real. Subconscious programming is real. This is why they put products in movies and they have ads when you scroll, because even though you're not paying attention to the fact that Leo is drinking out of a Coca-Cola can or Scarlett is using an Apple computer, you are being programmed by manufacturers and marketing gurus. Your subconscious mind, it's a very sensitive little sponge, and it provides and does things without you being aware. Like, think about it. The amount of times that you tell yourself to go eat something, swallow, your heart beating, you are doing subconscious acts you would never even have thought you had control over. Like, you can't control your heart beating for the most part. And it was explained to me, breathwork is so influential because it is the one body function that you have complete control over. So the 3-part breath that my breathwork coach teaches puts you into an altered mind state so that you can access those older patterns, images, thoughts, beliefs, so that you can re-immerse into them and release them. We like this. We love this. So I'm a member of the Soho House. They did this brief overview. This lovely lady gave a presentation and it really sparked my interest. And she said that game-changing thing to me that made me want to know everything about my chart. So I went home. Obviously, I went on Amazon, bought the books, went online, found the YouTubes, did all the things. Coincidentally, it was 4 days later, the Soho House has another meetup. I shared that I had gone to this human design meetup and I was really interested in it. Someone, does anybody know? And this one woman, Kayla, said, I think I do. Let me look. And she went on Instagram. She said, yeah, here's this guy, Eric. I just went to the link to get an appointment. I didn't look at any of his reels. I didn't look at any of his photos. Someone says, I have someone, his name is the name of your dead brother. My body, I'm a generator and I provide energy for others. And in my chart, which I'll deep dive into in another video, my, like the center of my head, which receives messages, is completely open. I don't know what they call these things. The vortex above my throat is completely open. My gift, my spiritual gift, is to receive messages and share them. I don't need to know more about this person. I understand, and my body is all tingly, that this is an alignment for me and this is what I need to do. Now, other people need to do hours of like review and look for other people and ask around and all. I am not that person. I need to listen to my body, and the human design confirmed that for me. I've been in situations where I've looked across a restaurant and I'm like, that guy is gonna go do XYZ. People are like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I know. I can't explain it, but I do. And 20 minutes later, that person does what I said he was gonna do. And I don't know how to explain that, and I don't need to make it normal for it to be real or true, but it is. For me, when someone says something and I get this whoosh of excitement and chills up and down my body, I know that's in alignment with something I need to learn, discover, look into, hear, activate. Touch my breathwork coach, and she was like, that's a little expensive. And I said, no, I don't think you understand. Like, this is gonna be worth every penny. Like, this session will be so life-changing that, like, pennies in the overall of my life. So I'm not saying just sign up for any willy-nilly that someone sends you. I'm just explaining for my human design and the way I built. I get tingles for stuff like this. I pick the earliest appointment that I can. I knew, and like for hours before I was like bubbling. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't. It was more exciting for me than a child on Christmas morning. I can't speak more highly of what I knew was coming for me. Involved in this reading is your astrology chart. There was a large focus on North Node and South Nodes. I've never really looked into nodes, but it was explained to me in this session. A North Node is where you're going, and the South Node is where you started. South Node is the karma that you're here to work through. Mine was family. I know, shocker. The purpose of my journey is to alchemize that karma. And coincidentally, I've shared in other videos that I feel like I trigger people, and it was explained to me that I am a karmic mirror. That part of my spiritual gift is I show people parts of themselves that they're uncomfortable with. And I was like, you don't have to tell me that. I've been saying that for months on YouTube. I am meant to trigger people. It is my life purpose. And not to trigger them so that they are frustrated. I trigger them to motivate them to heal it, to cleanse it. Just reading through my notes. Because of where my South Node placement is, which is your karma, I am on a hero's journey, which unfortunately means I will receive more struggles than your average person. And for those of you that know all of my story, you can attest that that is factual. I mean, this channel is like 10% of my stories, like not even close. He gave me a bunch of authors to look into and order some books. He gave me some physical practices to do, like Kundalini yoga, Reiki. He suggested I do shaman modality, which I might bring you along with. Something that I stumbled into June of 2022, where I go to the gym, they have a ginormous mat that's the size of a 10 by 10 room. And it's really thick. I have bad knees, so it's really comfortable for me to do all those various activities that I like for my body, the slow, controlled movements. I'm not a HIIT person. I'm not a strength training with hundreds of pounds person. I'm a 2.5-3 pound person. Started doing stretches and it felt really great. And I accredited it to my artificial hip. I do have an artificial hip. I was born with hip dysplasia. And while running one day, I pulled my leg out of the socket, and then I walked with my leg slightly hanging out of the socket, grinding it into the bone. So I eventually had to get a hip replacement. Then I saw something on Instagram that your hips store trauma, which would make sense why mine broke. With the level of trauma I've been consuming since birth. Even my like actual conception was traumatic. Started just moving with a lot of stretching. There's this woman, her handle on Instagram and her website, The Workout Witch. She has an online course of releasing stress and trauma and healing your nervous system. She said that a lot of it you do in your actual bed when you wake up in the morning. Well, they actually have a kid one. Feel Your Feelings, somatic exercises for ages 3 to 7, having somatic exercises available for grade school children, hearing that they're teaching meditation in grade school. 2 thumbs up from this one. That's it for this week. I have just been bouncing off the walls. Excited. Thank you so much for tuning in. Eric is amazing. Cannot recommend more. Super great human. Very happy for me, very happy to share with you. Please subscribe so I can help you to find your way to living your best life. I'm your spiritual big sis. Okay, my spiritual sisters, mwah, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. And I'm so excited for you. I cannot wait to share all the things. Bye. Oh, I was thinking on that.